Coming up next on the Wet Fly Swing podcast.
No, but the next day, and this was back when you had answering machines. I wish I still had this. He left a message. Hi, Elaine. It's Steve. Sorry I didn't show up last night. I really felt uncomfortable going into the swingers club. Wish I could remember the name. It was in Fort Lauderdale. And he goes, just tell Bobby and Footy that we decided not to go. I'm like, you're out of your mind. So they played that the next day in the air.
Oh, no way.
This guy whipped out on me. Yeah.
That was Mollie Simpkins with a funny story from one of her jobs prior to fly fishing. The Guide Association Natural Disasters and Stories from a TV Personality. Today on the Wet Fly Swing Fly Fishing Show.
Welcome to the Wet Fly Swing Fly Fishing Show, where you discover tips, tricks, and tools from the leading names in fly fishing today.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for stopping by the show today. Get a chance. We've got a new resource we're working on right now at wetflyswing.com/planet. Planet is where you can go to find out some of the conservation groups that we're supporting this year. If you get a chance, you can click over there and click through those links and support some of the groups that are doing the good work, that are keeping things rolling. Today's episode is sponsored by Bearvault, who has the perfect solution to keep your provisions secure while heading into the backcountry. Please head over to wetflyswing.com/Bearvault right now to check out this must-have solution to keep your food safe this season. That's wetflyswing.com/Bearvault, BEARVAULT. Today's episode is also sponsored by Fairflies, creating ethically sourced premium fly tie materials with their 5D brushes. You simply tie better flies faster. Fairflies creates intentional supply chains so you can change the world with every fly you tie. Head over to wetflyswing.com/fairflies right now. That's FAIRFLIES. Mollie Simpkins is here to share her story of how she created a fly fishing guide relief program and some of the other stuff she has going now. We find out how they help guides through the pandemic, how the guide relief program is different from the Guide Association, and what you can do to help with their mission right now. If you have ever been on a guide trip, if you're a guide, if you have any connection to it, this is a really cool program, and it's a good way you can share the word. Give that a go. We also get a funny picture of what Mollie's life was like in TV and radio as a personality there before she kind of jumped into some of the stuff in fly fishing. So this is definitely worth the effort just for those stories that come out today. So without further ado, here we go. Mollie Simpkins. How's it going, Mollie?
I'm doing well.
It's a little early for you, right?
A little. I work at the shop in Livingston, so get here at 7.
Oh, yeah.
And I really don't have a lot of time to wake up before people get here. So,
Yep. I'm glad you started with the shop. So let's start right there with the shop. We're gonna dig into the Guide Association and the Guide Relief Program. You got a bunch of tools and resources for guides, but where are you at right now? So with the Livingston.
Yeah, I work at Sweetwater Fly Shop, and it's just a couple miles south of Livingston in Paradise Valley. And I've been with Dan Gigon for just over 4 years. People kind of get confused here. So many years ago, about 10 years ago, the Vermillion brothers owned the shop and the travel company and the guide school. And about a decade ago, they sold it to my boss. So It's like it's a very confusing Dan situation we have here.
Yeah. Yeah, and we had an episode with, this was probably 3 years ago, something like that. With I'm trying to think now. It was the Sweetwater. We talked about the guide school.
Yeah.
Who was running the show? Managing it then?
Steve Wilson.
Yeah. Yep. Had Steve Wilson on. He talked about So Steve. Yeah, but Steve's left since then, right?
Yes, he has. I believe he's in Dillon. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But I think he is. Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, I work here. I do, I do events. I plan summer outings, and I do all the outfitting. So I deal with the clientele and the guides, and that is real. I mean, I just fell into it, and I really love it. And that's kind of been the impetus for everything that's happening now.
That's right. That's right, because you guys have the program is cool, and just the quick summary, for those that don't know, it's you literally at Sweetwater teach, if you want to become a guide, you have probably one of the biggest programs that helps people like walk them through becoming a guide, right?
Yeah, Sweetwater upstairs from us. Sweetwater Travel and Guide School is one entity. So yeah, they
Oh,
have the
gotcha.
ongoing guide schools, and I want to say they're getting ready to do one now and in August, and so yeah, it's quite a robust school.
Yeah. And it makes sense with the programs we're going to talk about today, the guide relief program. And I mean, you're right in the middle of it, working with
Oh
not
yeah.
only older guides, but young guides, people just getting started and needing insurance and things like
Hmm.
that. So, well, let's bring it back real quick. I like to take it
Okay.
back to the start. Let's go back all the way back. And I know you've got other
How
family
far
in the
back?
industry. Yeah, let's go back to fly fishing. When did you first get
Okay.
it? When did you
Well,
first see your first fly rod?
so I lived in South Florida for many years and never fished there. But when I got to Baltimore in 2005, I know that is so random, a couple things happened. I decided I wanted to fish. I'm not very seaworthy. I get motion sickness, really, and that's why it
Me
wasn't
too.
appealing to me in South Florida because that is some serious stuff. So I was literally sitting in bed one night watching the Travel Channel, the Discovery Channel, and there was a piece on Yellowstone. And I was already living in Baltimore. And I said, I really would like to fish. And there is this guy standing in the river. And I'm like, I could do that. I don't have to get on a boat and take, have these bands. And
Yeah.
so the first thing I did was kind of started, I don't even know if Google was alive then, started, doing some research online to see if I could find a group of women because, that's how your mindset is as a woman that, you have to be taught by other women and it'll be better.
Yeah.
That's not always true, by the way.
Hmm.
Um, and I found this group in the Mid-Atlantic called the Chesapeake Women Anglers. And they had been around for quite some time. And so I started engaging with them, going to some of their events and, got on the water and kind of learned how to do it. And then I met a woman by the name of Kiki Galvin, who is in Virginia. She's a personal trainer. She's a guide. She's an awesome human being. And we just became really connected and friendly. And she would make her way up to the Gunpowder where I lived. And she'd help me and I'd take lessons and stuff like that. So she was really a catalyst. And then I had a friend that used to work at St. Croix Rods. He's since passed, who kind of served as my mentor. And he got me my first rod and reel was a fluger and some rod I don't even know. But Dave sent me a Legend Elite, and I got myself a Ross reel. I had no idea what I was
Nice.
doing, and I asked all the dumb questions. Well, I asked all the questions that people think they're dumb. So now that I answer them now, they're not dumb at all. You just
No.
don't know, and it's confusing as all get out. So
Yeah.
he really, his name was Dave Colley, really, 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 fostered me through it all. And, I came out here one year to fish with a bunch of women who were in that group. And that was kind of like it, right?
Yeah.
It took me a long time to figure out how to cast. And I don't know if it happens to everyone else, but I remember the moment exactly when I was like, that's it.
Huh.
Yep. And I was on the Boulder River here with a friend. I mean, I had no business being on the Boulder River,
Right.
not knowing how to cast like that, but it was an awesome day.
So the cast, you got the cast. It clicked with you.
That it did. And I was like, that's how it works. I got the feeling. I
Yep.
got, it was just, it's inexplicable. It's one of those things. But yeah, it was like, oh, yep.
There you go.
It was pretty cool.
That's cool. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. So you're in, and was this in Montana?
That we came out, yes. It was in Silvergate. One of the women's in that group had a cabin that she rents every year. And there was 5 of us. So I was kind of like, the fifth wheel, which was fine with me.
Uh-huh.
I had my own car. One of the trips I took was just me and a guide and horses into the park.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it
That's
was
cool.
just, it just really was cool.
Yeah.
And I drove over Beartooth Pass and I was done. That is the most beautiful drive.
Yeah.
And I had never really been in the mountains, and that just changed my life.
Yep. Yeah. That is
It
amazing.
took me a few
potentially.
years. Yeah, it took me a few years to actually get here, but I did it.
You did it. So
I did
basically
it.
after that trip, what you just decide like I'm going to just move out west and
Yep.
just be in the fly fishing industry?
Well, no. I was actually, what was I doing then? 2000. I was in the broadcasting industry. I was
Oh,
in
that's
it.
right.
Yeah. I started as an intern in Miami at a company called Metro Traffic, and they did traffic and news. And then 20 years later, I ended up being the regional director of operations out of Washington, D.C. So I was
Wow.
also on the air, doing news and traffic, being a little sidekicky girl, laughing, sports, the whole thing.
Right.
But I mean, the skills I learned from being an intern to a regional director of operations kind of set the scene for everyone. I learned budgeting and, employee
Oh, right.
relations and engineering and computers. So,
Yeah.
I was in Baltimore. I lived when I came out west, and that was about 2007. So it took me about 6 years to make it west.
Okay.
And one of the real challenges was getting a job here. Back then, they really wanted you to live here in order to even give you a tumble for an interview, because back then people would move out here and they'd think it was too cold and they'd leave, which is understandable.
Yeah.
So, in desperation, I really didn't want to get back into radio, but in desperation, I was like, okay, if I have to get back into radio, I'll do it. And that's what I did. And I landed in Missoula at a group of radio stations and did promotions.
Oh, wow.
I know.
That was really, so you're doing promoting. Now, what does that mean? So you're not on
So,
the air?
I did actually end up being on the air with one of the morning shows. I was kind of their producer, and being a promotion director, so there was like 5 or 6 stations. So I ran the websites, came up with promotions and contests, and worked with the sales team, the general manager, and the jocks to promote whatever. I would write up promotions. Let's say a tire company. We'd do like a pothole thing, and you get a set of tires or whatever it was. It's just creativity, which
Yep.
I miss desperately right now.
So you like that? Do you like that? Were you pretty good at the creativity piece?
Oh yeah, I always have been. And I don't know why, I think some people just are drawn to it.
Yeah.
I'm like not a numbers girl. Don't math me.
Right. But you're creative. That's awesome, because that
But I
is a
am.
tough, that's a tough, some people, I mean, I feel like for me, I wasn't maybe the creative person, but over time I've grown into it. I've gotten better at it.
Yeah, well, you become more comfortable with it.
Yeah.
And I was on the air for many years. So my ability to have conversations, well, some that mean absolutely nothing and important ones, and able to talk to people one-on-one. I think I was so terribly shy when I started in that business, and that has changed.
Yeah. How'd you get back? Was the shy, did you just by doing more of it, you just eventually grew out of it, the shyness?
I guess I remember, oh my gosh, the company I worked for at first in Miami, the Metro Traffic, was actually based in Hollywood, Florida. And I was a producer, but eventually, like a few weeks in, they put me on the air. So we were in like this U-shaped room with a board at the front that we used to like with markers, right? A triangle for an accident, delays, the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
And I was literally in the back, and I was so shy, Dave,
Yeah.
that I didn't even want people looking at me when I was doing a traffic report in a room of people doing traffic reports. It was awful. Still to this day, I could never get up on stage and be that person and engage. I can't do that. Don't ask me to talk in front of 10 people, but I can talk on the radio to 1 million people.
Isn't that amazing? And that's kind of, you're not going to be talking to 1 billion people here, but we got quite a decent audience. You know what I mean? And a lot of people are going to be listening to this, and they're going to hear you. But I'm kind of the same way. I mean, I like, the audio. There's something about audio. I don't know what it is. It actually, it creates, and podcasting is obviously different than radio, but it's
Sure.
still, it's a similar thing. I just love the way it, like right now, we're just having a chat and we're recording it, right? And we're going to let people listen to it. Yeah.
Yep. And, I mean, they tried to put me on TV once to be a traffic reporter. It was a debacle.
Yeah.
I just can't. I mean, just thinking about it, my chest is getting tight. I'm getting all
Yep.
hot.
Right. I know.
Yeah. So I'm going to say this now. If I'm in public anywhere and I'm not engaging you, it's because I am uncomfortable or shy.
Yeah.
Honestly, even at all those shows and stuff, I feel like out of place. So please don't ever hesitate to talk to me,
Yeah.
because it's not because I don't want to talk to you.
No, not at all. And we ran into each other at IFTD. Yeah, it was great.
Oh no, it was
And
IFTD.
yeah, IFTD.
Sorry.
Yeah, it was IFTD in let's see, where was it? Was it Denver or Utah? Yeah, it was
Salt Lake.
Utah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was great. Yeah, I connected with you, and we finally chatted. We chatted before and talked about doing this, and yeah, it's that's a great event. I mean, all these events.
It was. Yeah.
Do you have what are your events when you look at? Are you doing all the event stuff around the country?
Starting to. I mean, it costs a lot of money to do those shows, even to just show up. I mean, I don't buy a booth. I don't do anything.
Yeah.
I just show up and try to talk to people and engage them. So I did go to Denver, which was good. In Salt Lake, I did the Orvis Guide Rendezvous.
Oh, yeah.
Which was very cool. I did the Backcountry Hunters and Anglers.
Oh, wow.
Rendezvous. So, yeah, I mean, I have some really good buddies in the industry. And, they look out for me and say, hey, do you want to come do this? I'd like to get to more shows next year. I just don't know how I'm going to fit it into my schedule or find the budget for it because I'm really penny conscious right now. But yeah, I mean, it's good to go out there and I talk to different people. I talk to owners of companies and shops and outfitters and manufacturers. And it's really interesting in some instances to feel the reaction. Like, really? There's nothing like this?
Yeah.
For both of them, right?
Yeah.
And there has been confusion, and I see why, because one person, me, runs both. But they are so different in what they do for guides.
Yeah, they're different. Well, let's and we might circle back around to some of the stuff on the shows and your background, but let's just jump into that real quick on the Guide Association, what you do, and maybe you could just start off with, maybe just talk about the Guide Association, the Outdoor Guide Association. What is that?
Well, you know what I'm going to do? Let me tell you a little bit how they started.
Yeah.
And that will make more sense how it's going to flow.
Perfect.
So, gosh, just over 2 years ago in March, when COVID was hitting, I was working from home, everything's closed, and my boss, Dan Jagone, sends me a text, which I still have. It said, because we knew guides were going to be impacted by the shutdowns because things were canceling. So he says, what do you think about raising money for guides? And I was like, absolutely, because, I've worked in the nonprofit sector as well, the American Cancer Society, I know, and for the Greater Yellowstone Coalition here in Montana in development, doing fundraising and events. And I was like, absolutely. So my first call was to Kinsley Scott in Missoula, a longtime friend, guide, just an awesome woman, and said, this is what we want to do. And she's like, absolutely. So we started gathering people in the state because I knew when it comes to money that I can't be the only one making a decision. It needs to be a group effort because I don't want the perception that I'm picking favorites because I gave my guide some money. So it was a group of people in the state. And then the CARES Act passed, and independent contractors are not just getting unemployment, but they're also getting, an extra $600 a week. So I didn't feel comfortable raising money. So we kind of pivoted. We did start calling ourselves the Guide Relief Program. I don't know where the name came. It just kind of came out of thin air. But we then started helping guides here in Montana with unemployment. I mean, unemployment in the best of times is really difficult, let alone when state and government have no idea how to handle independent contractors. So we helped guides with that, getting registered, learning about unemployment and how they need to fill these out, help them if they wanted to do a PPP or EIDL loan. If someone needed help with utilities, we had, Northwestern Energy. If somebody had some food insecurities, the Gallatin Great, so that's kind of what we turned into. And I just like, why is there nothing to support these guys in a more meaningful way? I mean, there's some great, don't get me wrong, there are some fantastic guide organizations throughout the country, but they're conservation focused, which is fabulous. We need as many of those as we can get, but we were talking about the guides themselves. So initially we wanted to do all this stuff and then have benefits and whatever. So the first thing we did is took the Guide Relief Program, and its main function is to support guides in crisis, personally, professionally, and that's with small grants. So, for instance, right now after the flood, guides lost income in June. So thanks to Josh Mills up in the Pacific Northwest, he started Flies for Flood Relief. And that raised over $50,000, 40 of which came to us. We're accepting applications from guides who need, a couple grand here to, and that's the function. And it's happening and it's working, at least on a small scale right now. Mm-hmm. So as we get more money, more funding, we are a nationwide organization. So if you are in Wisconsin and you get hurt, you can apply, and you have to be a guide because it's a pretty rigorous vetting that you have to go through because we are giving you our constituents money, right? So we want to make sure we vet the guides and make sure what they need is what they get, and we have a group of people who do that, board members. A couple friends of the organization go through these applications and vet it, and then we'll send off a check. So the other portion of the guide relief program is mental health, and that's a running theme through both organizations actually. So any guide, if he doesn't want to be part of the other organization, can go to our website, hit a very small application if he's interested in 2 free months of mental health care. Once they apply for it, all I do is upload their email address to our partners at BetterHelp, and I'm out of it. I don't know if you use it. I don't. Yep. I used it. I used BetterHelp earlier this year, and it's quite great. So yeah, and honestly, we don't know about it. All I see is some data. I don't know if you used it, if you did not use it, if you want to wait and use it. I just hope, if somebody's feeling uncomfortable, and it's not just about mental health or anxiety or depression. It can also be issues at home with your family. It could be money issues. It could be eating issues. I mean, it spans the gamut of well-being, really.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard of it. BetterHelp. Right? I've definitely, you hear that sometimes on podcasts, like on sponsorships and stuff. They're definitely out there. It sounds like a cool program.
Even on Conan.
Exactly. There you go. Today's episode is sponsored by FishHound Expeditions, putting together remote Alaskan fishing trips for that trip of a lifetime. This is not your typical lodge-style trips. These are remote, floating down the river, Alaskan trips. You're going to be mousing for rainbows, fishing for salmon, camping on the river. This is what it all comes down to, a great river trip. And we've had a few episodes where people have noted how important it is to not wait for that trip. You never know what life's going to throw at you. So if you get a chance and you've been thinking about Alaska and you've been thinking about a remote trip, check out what Adam and FishHound has right now. You can head over to wetflyswing.com/fishhound right now to check out what they have going on right now. That's FishHound, FishHound. You support this podcast by clicking through that link to FishHound. Yeah, so it sounds like these programs are, you've got the 2 programs. Now, talk about, are they both for a similar, like the guide? Is it just fly fishing guides, or is this more general?
No, it's conventional or fly. I have a woman in Wisconsin who's an ice guide.
Yeah.
I don't care if you guide a mud puddle.
Yeah.
You just have to prove you're a guide.
And what about like hunting?
Well, that's something, once we kind of get our feet under us and make sure we're doing everything properly, there is no reason, it's called guide, that we can't engage guides in other outdoor pursuits. Hunting, skiing, whitewater, surfing.
Yeah.
Everything. Mountain climbing, whatever it is.
Yeah.
There is absolutely no reason we can't do that.
That's right. And what are to get in this? I saw on your website that there's a pretty small fee to get involved. What's that look like?
So that's the Outdoor Guide Association. So let me finish that story. So when we were doing and creating the guide relief program, I wanted to do all this stuff. And my one piece of advice, if you're ever creating a nonprofit or 2, is to have a very good attorney. We have a lot of fees and attorney fees, but it's well worth it. Because he was like, you want to do all this stuff, but in the eyes of the IRS, these are very different organizations.
Yeah.
They have very different functions. So the Guide Relief Program is a 501c3. We can take in donations and we can, give out grants, the whole thing. The Outdoor Guide Association is a 501c6. That is a membership organization. So when you offer membership to anyone in the country and you're starting an organization, it is a 501c6. Doesn't matter if it's bowling or baseball or, doesn't matter. If you are a membership organization, it's a totally different ball of wax. So he suggested to us that we split them, and that's what we did. So that's why there are two.
I see.
I initially wanted one, but oh gosh, that would be too easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Outdoor Guide Association was born. So that is a relatively affordable fee of $50. I don't know if it's a good business model, but we're going to find out. I don't want to make it expensive.
Right.
So $50, and that money gets churned back in to create programs and whatnot. So for $50 a year, a guide can apply. If you're in a state like Montana or Washington, or a state that requires you to have a license, all you have to do is upload your license and you're good. Shockingly, many states don't require anything to be a guide. Yes. Wow. It is shocking. Not a license, not first aid.
Wow.
I know. That's something we're looking into. So if you don't have a guide's license, you fill it out, give me a couple references, show me your, Facebook, website, Instagram page, and you will be approved. It's really as simple as that. So once you are approved, I send you the link, you pay your $50. As soon as you hit that submit button, you get those 2 free months of mental health services. So that's where the connection kind of comes in. So that isn't automatic. No questions asked. You get it, period. And then we the company we work with regarding insurance and health is Crosscurrent in Connecticut. So through them, for about $204 a year, you get, or a guide gets, free telehealth, discount dental, discount vision, discount pharmacy, discount vitamins, roadside assistance, global travel assist, and pet care for $204 a year. I know. I actually used the dental once to see how it would work against my Delta Dental, which I pay for every month.
Yeah.
And using our program, it was $100 less to get my teeth cleaned.
Oh, wow.
I was like, come on now.
Huh. No kidding. So you don't have to, do you have to have another insurance?
No.
So you can actually get this for $200 a year and literally have like health and dental covered?
Well, it's discount benefits, so it's not health insurance. So, I don't want anyone to get the idea that we're offering full blown. But, if you are, you feel under the weather and you think maybe you need a doctor, free telehealth. You literally just get on your computer and chit chat, and they send off a prescription to wherever you ask them to.
Right. Then
But I mean, if you go to the website, the outdoorguideassociation.org, it shows you, in the vision is LASIK.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? So it really, it's stuff that you might not need.
Yeah.
But if you do, it's legit.
Huh.
And then, roadside assistance. Are you kidding me?
Oh, yeah.
How many times have you're broken down on the side of the road with your boat, or your car won't start, or, it's crazy. And the other cool thing about this, so it's kind of tiered. The first part of that, the telehealth, vision, dental, vitamins and pharmacy, you can get that for $150 a year. But those add-ons, the pet care, the roadside assistance, and the global travel are important. But I will say this, any guide who has a family member who lives under the same roof at the same address, their family member can also get all that for $204 a month. So if their wife was also uninsured and didn't have anything, they would also be eligible for all those discount health benefits.
Wow.
Right?
That is pretty cool. And essentially, like you said, it's not like it takes the place of normal insurance, but it's an addition. So if you had insurance, maybe it wasn't the best insurance, but maybe there's a high deductible or something like that. This might be an opportunity for $50 for your fee of $50 plus the the 200, I mean, literally that's like $20 a month. You could talk to a doctor, which would be covered. You could get dental, some stuff there. I mean, right? I mean, so these are things. Yeah, this sounds like a pretty good program. Like for under $20 a month, you can get some things that maybe you don't have to spend whatever, $1,000, $2,000.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing too. I mean, think about it. That's less than a guide makes in a day.
Yeah.
So there's that. And then through our partners at Crosscurrent in many states like Montana, every guide has to have liability insurance. So that is also offered through us. And for any guide who is a little more forward thinking about his future or what might happen, there's also accident insurance, disability insurance, and life insurance. Yeah. And I know life insurance isn't terribly expensive if that's something you're concerned about. The accident and disability is probably a little more expensive. It's also age-based.
Yeah.
So for us old people, it's going to cost a fortune.
That's right. Yeah, you're not going to get away with that. That's it. And the liability insurance? That's always the thing with a guide too, right? You have to, as a guide, especially if you're on your own, you have to have liability. So do you guys cover that, or how does that work?
We're a pass-through, and Crosscurrent Insurance, our partner, covers all of that. So, I mean, when I had this conversation, 2019, I saw a little booth at the Denver show, Crosscurrent Insurance, and I really didn't think much about it. But in 2020, when we started this and we wanted to do all this stuff, I was like, Crosscurrent, yeah. So I picked up the phone, and Roland Schuster, who's the principal. Oh my God, what a guy. He is, what a force of nature that guy is.
Yeah, I like Roland.
He's a character.
Yeah.
But he knows the business intimately. He's been fly fishing for decades, and his daughter, Abby Schuster, which many people know, is a striper guide on Martha's Vineyard. So he knows the pitfalls of being a guide and how hard it is, and he sympathizes and empathizes, and I mean, he couldn't have said yes to all of this fast enough.
Right.
He really thinks it's a great thing. And, it gets challenging and hard sometime, but I just kind of push through it because both of these organizations can be really important, not just fishing guides, but, as we grow and expand, it could be a game changer for many people.
Yeah. To all sorts of different niches and industries in the outdoor. So right now, for a guide that before you were there, what were guides doing? I guess they're just on their own trying to go out and get. So I have that question. I want to know what they were doing before, but also on the liability insurance. So if for that $200 a month, does this give them liability insurance?
No, it does not. So I think the insurance is like, if you're getting annual insurance, and the difference with Crosscurrent and some others, it's January 1st to December 31st. That's, a lot of times insurance companies start, let's say I wanted insurance today, it would be August 8th to August 8th, 2023. So they're January 1st to December 31st, their calendar. And I want to say it's about $360 a year. But one of the interesting things is many guides here in Montana don't guide until May. So Crosscurrent prorates it.
Oh, wow.
So January, February, March, April. So from May to December, yeah, exactly. It's like $150. It's crazy.
So you get a good deal. So you get your insurance so now you literally pay your $200 for Crosscurrent, then your $180 or whatever for your 6 months that you need. And then you actually do have liability. And liability insurance can cost thousands, right?
It can be a lot, and we do have guides who are fishing guides and hunting guides and have some other, things they have their fingers in, and they help with those as well. I don't pretend to know all the ins and outs of it. That's why they're the experts. But I thought it was important to be able to offer that. And as far as, where they get it now, there are other organizations in the state outfitter associations and hunting associations that they become members of. And they do, they each have their purpose in the industry, but they just don't offer, this kind of personal support.
Right.
Again, they're more conservation, which is great. We need as many voices in conservation as we could get, and they're strong. But these personalized benefits helping the guide themselves is what we offer.
Yeah, just specifically that guy. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
so that makes sense. It sounds like a pretty good, value add. And anything else you want to highlight here that we're missing from what you offer on either program?
Oh, golly. So, so the Outdoor Guide Association, we have a couple things working. We do also offer any guide a free year TU guide membership, and we're working on, we're looking forward to what else we can do to help this guide community.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things we're working on, my board members, the 3 I have now on the Outdoor Guide Association, are very much into finance. So we're like, hey, how can we create a program for guides that helps them think about their future financially?
That's a good idea.
Right?
Yeah.
You should be an LLC, regardless of where you are. You should be a business. You should learn how tax work, how your tax return works,
Right.
and what you can write off and what you can't. And how do you build for your future? How do you take that $100 a day tip you have and put it to work for you? So in 30 years, if you're in your 20s, you could say, hey, I built a little bit of a nest egg here, and I could actually think about not rowing people down the river for the next 20 years. So that's one of our thoughts, because that's, we're talking all health, not just physical or mental. Financial is huge. So I think that's a big thing that's probably going to come up next. That is a good one. Yep. That is a good one. And we have some kick-ass partners in both organizations, honestly. St. Croix has been with us since the beginning, financially and in other ways. Sawyer Oars really last year stepped up big. They gave a portion of oar sales to us for 2021, and it was big. I literally was standing in the post office Thanksgiving Day looking at that check crying.
Really?
Oh my God. Yeah. It was like $7,000. That's substantial.
Yeah.
Orvis is coming on board with both. They're giving us a good substantial chunk of change for 2022 that we have big plans for at the end of the year. Mm-hmm. Gosh, who else? Crosscurrent, of course. Winston's coming on board, and we're always looking for new ones. And, every partnership is different, financially, marketing and outreach, because that's right now what getting the word out right now is key.
Yeah, that's it.
Especially for the Outdoor Guide Association, engaging guides around the country. That's what we want to do. And then we're building up the fund, the Guide Relief Fund, in order to help guides around the country who might need a little cash.
Yeah, if something comes up. So you're there in case. And are you the one doing the outreach? How are you finding new? Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of do everything,
What's your plan? I mean, how are you getting around to find all these guides around the country?
It's, it's a one-man band. It's a little bit difficult. I do have, because I lived on the East Coast for so long, it was so ingrained in the fishing community there. And now here, I do have a lot of people I know in the industry. So Orvis, actually, they're putting out through their guide email.
Oh, yeah.
Winston doing the same. So if it's something as easy as that, I'm up for it. It doesn't cost anybody a dime. It's funny when I've gone to these shows and talked to different manufacturers and reps, they kind of get back on their heels a little bit. What do you want from me? Everybody's always there with their hand out.
All right.
What do you want from me? And I'm like, I just want your time to explain this to you. Some people are really engaged. Some people, it's the same thing, glad handing. They seem interested, and when you reach out again, they get nothing. So, I find everything. So I just keep trying. So we do that in various ways. Obviously, we have social media. We don't have big followings yet. But we also try to get involved. One part of the Outdoor Guide Association are these pillars that we have of safety, stewardship, and service. So stewardship, we're actually going to put in display on August 20th here in Paradise Valley. Some local nonprofits, the Yellow Dog Conservation and Community Fund, Montana Freshwater Partners, Park County Environmental Council, and I can't remember the third one. Fourth one. Oh, shoot, that makes me so mad. I have to look here because I can't leave somebody out.
Yeah.
Trout Unlimited. Jeez,
Oh, yeah.
Mollie.
Oh, right. To you. Yeah.
Duh.
Yeah.
Have putting on a river cleanup. After the flood, there's just debris everywhere. And it's dangerous. So August 20th, those groups, along with us and a bunch of sponsors, are going to do a river cleanup. So boats and bags and people going down the river, picking up all kinds of garbage and as much as they can. And then there's a little party afterwards with barbecue and beer and some music.
Oh, nice.
So that's one of the ways we're incorporating our stewardship program.
Today's episode is sponsored by Togens Fly Shop, providing superior quality products at an affordable price. An amazing resource for fly tying materials, tools, and fishing accessories. You can head over right now, check out Togens' YouTube channel. They've got new videos going on all week long, all year long. Just check out Togens Fly Shop on YouTube and find out who they have going right now. We've had at least one episode with one of their pro staff, and it was one of the best episodes, I think, of the year. So they got a good crew and some good stuff going over there. And I'm going to be making another purchase very soon, and I'm going to be tying up a fly for one of the challenges we have going. I think I've got a Chernobyl, some sort of a Chernobyl going on here. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to be using some of Togens materials, so this is going to be good. Since 2005, Togens has been over-delivering on price and customer service, and it's time for you to check out what Togens has going on right now. That's Togens, Togens. You support this podcast by clicking through that link to Togens. Okay, back to the show. What was that flood like for those that didn't hear about?
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, what was this, a massive flood?
Oh, my. Yeah, so I guess it was June 13th. That was a Monday morning. I was sitting downstairs in the shop, and I think one of the guys were here. And Pat Vermillion from upstairs walked down. He goes, the gauge at Corwin says it's 51,000 CFS. So we're all like, it's broken. It's just got to be broken. Because we knew, literally, I remember sitting on the bank of the Yellowstone just a few days ago, and I posted this thing on Instagram. Oh, she's high, and she's going to peak any day now. Well, so we just were kind of concerned and then not concerned, and everybody's like, nah. And somebody called from upriver, and they're like, it's coming. And I spent all of that Monday moving as much inventory off the floor as I could. Wherever I could put it, came upstairs and brought stuff up here. Pat.
So you're on the bank. Are you on the bank of the river?
So the river's behind us. I don't know how many yards, a couple hundred yards. I mean, there's a house back there and some other land. I don't know, again, math.
Right. Yeah.
So Pat, he just tarped and sandbagged the ever-loving hell out of this building. I mean, I honestly believe he's the true hero. But about 3:00 in the afternoon, I get a text that the river is to the back of the building. And I'm like, well, here we go.
Like hitting it, like right at the building?
Yeah, it's already up over that house behind us. And it's at the building. And so I'm like, well, here we go. I guess we're going to find out. And the next morning, I tried to get down 89, had to wait a couple hours till the water receded, and came into the shop. And we got 2 inches in the shop. And it was wet and dank and nasty.
Oh, wow.
And we had turned the power off, but everyone went to the rental place and got these ginormous fans. So, we spent some days trying to dry out. There was mud and sand on the cement floor down there. The carpet was disgusting. But, we didn't lose anything, not an ounce. Not a piece of inventory. So it took me about a week to clean it. And, we had a couple guys in here, cleaning the carpets and whatnot. But about 9-10 days later, we reopened.
No kidding.
Yeah, but I mean, some people have lost their houses, their businesses. And honestly, one of the people keep asking, I mean, after a tragedy happens, it's shoved down your throat, but then people forget.
Yeah.
So, I'm sitting here at a fly shop in Livingston, Montana, on the road that goes between Livingston and Yellowstone National Park. And in comparison to what it should be, it is bad. It's the tourist traffic is just not happening.
Oh, really?
Gardner at the entrance, the northeast entrance, God love them. They had, first it was a fire and then COVID, and now this. And, I haven't been down yet, which I need to do and support them. But I can't imagine how it is bad down there, because it's the walk-in traffic here is just not happening.
And that's because of basically the flood.
Yeah, because the north entrance of the park is closed. So,
right.
This whole corridor served as an entrance to the north of Yellowstone National Park. So with it closed, people just aren't here. I mean, we have trips. We have people coming in and fishing with us and other outfitters, but it's just not like it should be.
Yeah. Wow.
And that's honestly, to go back to where the guide relief program, this is where the guide relief program came in. And so I have local guides, that flies for flood relief. All of that money is going to this purpose, to help guides who lost income in June, because everybody did. It's picked up over the summer, but, you can't get those trips back in June, whether it was on the river, whether it was in Yellowstone National Park. So, yeah, it's been devastating, and it still is.
Yeah. Was this like a 50,000 CFS? Sounds massive.
It was crazy.
Is that one of the, I wonder if that was like one of the largest that's been recorded, or?
It has to be.
Yeah,
they're calling it a 500-year flood.
All right. So not even 100-year.
Not even 100.
Oh, wow. I'm looking at the shop kind of on a map. Yeah. And you can see that. So the Yellowstone is out there, and you can see it's a massive river, but
it is.
You can see the side channel. There's a side channel that cuts off and goes towards the shop, and it's a giant channel as well, but you could see, and it goes right towards the highway. Literally just below the shop, you could see that side channel. It's probably not even a side channel. It's probably a main. It looks like a pretty big. How big is that river in there?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know.
Yeah, it's huge. It's like hundreds of yards across, something like that.
Yeah, well, it's just maybe 50 yards across. And it varies. Right now, I haven't looked today at the levels, but it's probably down to like 3,000, 3,500 CFS now, which, it's a little lower than it should be. We go from feast to frickin' famine.
Oh, right. So it's even lower. Yeah.
Yeah, but if you get the chance, go on Facebook. Sorry to be an enabler. Go to the Yellowstone National Park page and scroll down. It's going to be a while now, but they released a video of the flood going through the park.
Oh, wow.
And there is a video of the Lamar River.
Yep.
That the force of water, the sheer amount of water going through that river it's unfathomable.
Yeah.
You got to think when the flooding was at its peak, it was nighttime, so none of us really saw it.
I'll try to look that up. I'll try to find, if I can get that, maybe get a video in the show notes so we can take a look. And I know I saw some photos of like full on houses, like in the floating down river or something like that, right? Or
so that one house, and honestly, through it all, we are fortunate that no one died. I can't believe no one was injured or died. Honestly, people were so smart. But that house you saw, that was in Gardner. And I think that's the worst of it. Everybody likes to show the worst of it. So that was a housing, I believe it was employee housing for the park.
Oh, right.
And some people that lived in there for years and years. And they put a plea out on the social media to, if you find paperwork or photos or anything down the river, please let us know. They lost everything.
Wow.
Down the street here was a pet shop. Not a pet shop, they're a groomer. And their whole building is trashed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's happened there a lot. From here all the way through Livingston, east to Billings and Red Lodge. And
must have been just, I imagine it was kind of a rain on snow event or something like that.
Oh my
right?
gosh. Well, earlier in the spring, we were like, we're not going to have enough runoff, there's not enough snow. We're not going to have any runoff. So that's what we all thought. And then the spring, it just rained and rained and rained. It just kept raining. So with the snow melt and the runoff, it was just a perfect storm. One that we all hope doesn't happen again.
No,
Because no, thank you.
No, that's huge. Okay.
Jeez.
Well, that's that's a terrible story, but a good example of what it sounds like, your programs, what you're focused on. I mean, that's a great example of, it sounds like you guys are, in the first few years of what you have going, but I could see this growing into something, right, much bigger and more of an even bigger resource. Yeah.
I mean, we're only 2 years in. And I always, I appreciate a slow burn. And, grateful to everyone who supports us and help us get the word out, because I really do think both, again, serve their own purposes. And they both are something new to the industry and different ways to support guides who really don't have any.
Yep. That's the amazing thing about the guides, if you haven't done it, or maybe if you have, it's not the easiest field to kind of do a lot of things, right? I mean, you're out a lot. It's so any little bonus or benefit they can get, that's a huge thing, right? Do you see that when you're working with guides? Do you see, I mean, what are the biggest challenges for guides? I'm guessing this is one of them, but do you work and talk to a lot of guides and ask them
Yeah. I don't necessarily ask them. I do all the outfitting for the shop. So, what I say, especially this time of year, I try to give them a little encouragement, thanks for, being so awesome this year. And, if something happens, for being understanding, or, if I have a phone number wrong, sorry about that, and check in with them and honestly make sure they take a day off here and there, because here it is,
like 7 days a week,
7 days a week, all month long. And they just don't take time for themselves to kind of recharge. Some of the older guys get it, right? Yeah. They're like, I can't do this every day. But some of the other guys are grind. And I get it. You got to make hay when the sun shines. And this is, this is their time of year. And I get it, but you do have to think about yourself, and take a little bit of time, even if it's a guide days off and you go fishing or what have you, but it's important.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. Yeah, the mental, and that's part of the mental, wellness. I'm always thinking, we were just talking to, I've mentioned this a few times, but, we kind of have a counselor we talk to, and, he's talking yesterday about just taking a break and mindfulness, just simple things, right? Just like taking a break and saying, and focusing on, just the moment and just, it's not always easy. And I can imagine those guys.
No, I'm awful at it.
Yeah.
I'm like, doctor, heal thyself. I'm awful at it.
Are you trying to do like a zillion things always at once?
Oh yeah. I work 7 days a week.
So you're just as bad as the guides.
But I'm not out, yes. You know what? There's sometimes I have to do things. Yesterday, I maybe did one thing. And I took the day off for myself for the most part. But, when you have a full-time shop job, when you're booking trips and trying to run 2 nonprofits, it's.
Yeah, there's not a lot of time left.
No.
Well, so this is great. I feel like we got a good feel for this. I had a few random ones I wanted to ask you here. They're just kind of, I think, more fun. Well, we talked about some of them earlier on, but we'll take it out here. Then if I come up with anything else, or if you think of anything we missed on the guide program, guide association, let me know. But so you mentioned the promotional stuff. I'm really interested in that. Back in the day, you've done a lot of the radio and stuff. God. I mean, what was your craziest or what promotion that you could think of you had back in the day?
Well, when I didn't do a lot of crazy promotions in Missoula. Missoula's not crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I had some great ones, but they just didn't take them. But when I was in South Florida, I worked on, I worked for one radio station for about 10 years. The thing to know is that I worked for a company that was like a radio subcontractor. So radio stations and TV stations would engage us to be their traffic reporters and TV reporters.
Oh, right.
Most people don't know that. They think that the traffic reporter or the news person works for that entity. It's not true in most cases. They are hired, our company would supply those. So there was a time I was on like 6 radio stations and I had a different name for each one. It was so stupid.
Oh, wow. So you'd do the same exact thing for 6 different stations.
Yeah. So I'd sit there and sometimes I'd have a headphone on one ear for one station, a headphone on the other for the other station. I'd be live on one station, hit a cart to play my recorded traffic on the other. It was bonkers. And only once, maybe twice, did I say the wrong name on a radio station.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But this one radio station I was on for a long time, Y100 in Miami, I was Elaine Turner.
Oh, Elaine, you were, yeah,
I
you were
know.
Elaine.
See,
Elaine Turner.
Turner.
It's a
See,
great name.
You are the only one who's ever gotten that.
Yeah, yeah,
Ever.
yeah. That's good.
So we had this quote unquote danger boy. I don't. Maybe this story isn't suitable.
No,
And
that's good.
they had me do stuff every once in a while. I went down to Miami to this Russian spa where they beat me with sticks, and it was bizarre.
Right.
And right. I mean, the guy's asking me. He asked me like 10 times if I wanted an enema. I'm like, no, thank you, sir. Honestly.
So this is it. Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
This is some good crazy stuff.
And then one of them, they wanted this guy and myself to go to a swingers club.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, well, I'm like, okay, and this guy, Steve, was supposed to go with me, and I didn't want to go alone. So I brought my cousin, and we show up there, and we only went in the front door. We didn't go in the second door, and we're sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting. And this guy never shows up. I'm like, I'm not going in there without this doofus.
Yeah. So
we just left and went to
Oh, really? So the guy never shows up.
No, but the next day, and this was back when you had answering machines. I wish I still had this.
Oh, yeah.
He left a message. Hi, Elaine. It's Steve. Sorry I didn't show up last night. I really felt uncomfortable going into the swingers club. Wish I could remember the name. It was in Fort Lauderdale. And he goes, just tell Bobby and Footy that we decided not to go. I'm like, you're out of your mind. So they played that the next day on the air.
Oh, no way.
This guy whipped out on me. Yeah.
They played him whipping out on it.
Yep.
Right. So when you do those, when you do like that sort of a, whatever you call that, activation or something like that, what's the goal? I mean, obviously it's like shock factor, but is there anything else where people are getting, what's the value people are getting out of other than the shock?
Absolutely nothing.
So it's all shock factor.
Yeah, for that is, and we didn't do a whole lot of that. We did a lot of, there was a time that there was Footy, who was the lead morning show guy. Maybe this is offensive now, but we don't care. It was called Footies and the Chicks at 6. So it was myself and 2 other women and the man. And it changed the dynamic. And then I was the sports girl, Oh my gosh, I got to tell you, some Miami Dolphin and Marlins wives really hated me. Because I'd be like, oh, your husband's so hot.
Oh,
ooh,
right.
Jason Taylor. And that was my role, right?
Yeah.
Jason Taylor, oh, God, the Dolphins player, just so dreamy. But some of the wives took it in stride. Sure. But what we often did with stuff like that is we'd do like women's clinics way back then. Kind of like people do for women in fishing now. But we did, baseball and football clinics and go to the stadiums and hang out with the football players. So, we did have a purpose.
So the clinic would be like to teach, like who? You're bringing the women into to learn how football. To play football?
To learn about football,
Oh, learn about it, right.
Downs, touchdowns,
Gotcha. Yeah. So the clinic, so they understand it.
Yeah. I did a lot of stuff. I mean, I was in it for a long time. And it was very fun.
Yeah.
And I miss those people.
Yep.
But, here I am to different things.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I love it. It's interesting to me because I'm always thinking of similar things. I mean, I'm doing now that we, have sponsors here. I'm always thinking of, trying to be creative. Like, what could we do to, connect, listeners?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and that's always a big thing. And I can't just do the shock factor stuff. Sometimes,
oh gosh, no.
You got to provide some value so people will actually get something out of it.
Why you have me on?
Exactly. Well, that was a good.
That's a question mark.
Exactly. No, it's a good. I mean, the cool thing is that I know we have. I don't know what percentage of the people that listen are guides, but there's definitely lots of guides that listen. And that was my thing. There's probably going to be some people that won't listen because it's focused on guides, but for those that are, I see that as obvious value. Right? They're going to learn about something they don't know about. So I'm always, and I ask people. I try to ask our listeners. What do you want to hear? You tell me and I'll put it together. Give me a guest, right?
Yeah, I appreciate it. No, it's this is the way of the world now. And honestly, somebody may listen. Again, we're always looking for partners as well. Mm-hmm. People who want to financially support us. Also on both websites are places if you want to be a board member on either organization, you can nominate someone or yourself. Mm-hmm. So we have that. I'm non-paid. I don't get paid for this. I would like to sometime down the road. So, people that have skills that don't necessarily need to be paid for them yet. A grant writer, someone to help with grants, because that will help get money. Then we can eventually pay people. Yep. People who have skills that can bring them to the table and help us build and grow, who are passionate about it. I worked as a volunteer for Casting for Recovery for a very long time in the Mid-Atlantic, and I happily did it as a volunteer. So those are the kind of people that I would love to engage, who just would like to help both or either organizations with their skills, and because they think it's important and needed.
Yeah, sounds like a great program and something I'm happy to definitely share out here. Well, as we take it out of here, tell me about, we've got this little segment, our travel time segment, but where are you doing any trips? Do you have, it sounds like you're so busy, maybe you don't get out, but if you had to go, let's just do your bucket list trip.
Oh, geez.
You got one place to go. It could be anywhere, salt, fresh, whatever.
Oh, dear.
What are you doing?
Well, I will tell you, I went down to Mexico last October to Baja. Oh my God, I loved it.
Oh, really?
And yes.
Yep.
And then I'm going down to the Keys this September, October. But honestly, and I know the fishing's not always great there, and they've had issues with conservation.
Yeah.
But there was a point, Jen Ripple and I were talking about doing a video where I would go to Scotland, and I have a lot of family there that I've never met. So I'd go to Scotland. I'd meet my family. I would do a hell of a lot of fishing, and I would go and drink a lot of scotch.
Sounds like a good trip.
Doesn't that sound amazing?
Yep. Family, fishing, and scotch.
Oh my gosh. I just need a good 3 weeks. I told my boss, I need 3 weeks to go to Scotland, and I'll be back.
Yeah.
Eventually. I just think that, to me, and I have 180,000 miles on United waiting for that trip.
There you go. Yeah, yep. Scotland would be that would be an amazing, definitely.
And Argentina and Spain and Italy.
Yeah.
I want to go different places where people don't necessarily go.
Yeah, that's right. Well, those
Spain and Italy would be awesome.
Definitely. And there's some fish in there for sure.
Exactly. So I'm ready.
All right. Well, we'll keep an eye on it and maybe check back with you down the line to see how it's going with the the programs. And
awesome.
We'll
keep an eye on the Guide Relief program on Instagram. In October, we're going to do another auction. We did an auction. I kind of put a slapdash silent auction together last fall, and we're going to do it a little earlier this year and raise some more money to support guides. So that I'm stoked to start doing that now too.
There you go. All right. Well, we'll send everybody, I guess you got the two places, right? Outdoor Guide Association. Is it .org or .com?
It is. Both are .org. GuideReliefProgram.org, OutdoorGuideAssociation.org. You can reach me at Mollie that's MOLLIE at GuideReliefProgram.org. Happy to answer any questions, get you engaged, and
perfect. Well, here's a random one. I got a random one before we get out of here. So we're gonna be so if we had a trading card. So this is an idea.
I don't know what this is going, but I like it.
So we got a fly fishing trading card, right? And you're gonna be on. Each guest gets their own card. So you're on. On the front of it is Mollie Simpkins, and the
oh no,
what is the headline for this one? It doesn't have to be just for you. So on your trading card, what do you want that headline to say?
No, one thing comes to mind immediately. And this came from a girl I went to grade school, high school. We grew up together. And many years ago, we were planning a high school reunion. And I think I lived in Florida at the time. And I mean, this may not be for everyone.
Yeah.
But it's kind of how I live my life. And she called me out on it. And she called me a shitter, getter, dunner.
Oh, yeah.
And it's true.
Yeah. So say it again. Now, what does that mean exactly?
Shitter, getter, dunner. I get done.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
It's just a silly way of putting
I like
it. But,
that.
that's...
Yep, that's perfect.
I've used that with a group of people I've worked with. And I said, you guys are shitter, getter, dunners. And it's maybe a little crass, but it's fitting.
Yeah, no, it's good. Nice. All right, there you go. So if we actually end up doing that, stay tuned.
That would be awesome.
Stay tuned. I'll get back to you, and I'll send you a card if we can get to that point. So we're gonna. Oh. I've been thinking about that. I've been talking about that, thinking of it for a while now. But
that is clever.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I guess we'll leave it there, and we'll send everybody out to. We'll put some links in the show notes. And yeah, thanks again for coming on here and then sharing, just the story and doing the good work you're doing for guides and everybody out there. And we'll keep in touch with you.
Thank you. I appreciate you engaging us and have interest in it. I'm really excited as to what it can be.
So there it is. wetflyswing.com/355. 355 will get you some links, some show notes, some videos over there. And it's just the easy way to get all that info. And we've put it all into one spot to make it easy for you over at the blog. Click over there, have a look, have a listen. And you can listen to, if you want to, you can listen directly to podcasts there at the blog. Listener shout out before we get out of here. Tim Miller, I want to thank you for checking in on email and for supporting the podcast. Tim noticed how he loves Southeast Alaska, and one of his struggles is finding the time and the money to get up there more often. And I hear you on that one, Tim. I think that's a common struggle for me and a lot of us out there. We would love to be heading up to those places we love more often. And sometimes, you just can't do it as much as you like. But as a recent guest noted, Jay Scott, we had a hunting episode recently, and he noted there in that episode how you never want to wait, because you never know what life's going to throw at you, and you got to take that trip now. So if you can do it, Tim, and I'm sure you will, get out there and do it, and same to you, whoever's listening right now. I would love to hear from you. If you get a chance, you can head over to wetflyswing.com, join the newsletter there, or you can send me a message, email directly, dave@wetflyswing.com. If you haven't checked in, you're listening now to the very end, I would love to hear from you if you get a chance. Just a quick email is all it takes to say hey. One last reminder before we get out of here, the Top Flight Challenge. We got a video coming soon. I noted that Tim Camisa, I'm not sure if I gave this a shout out yet, but Tim, I'm going to be tying up a video for his channel. This is going to be a fun one because I'm going to let Tim, this is Tim's idea, which is a good one. He's going to critique my tying, and I'm going to tie up a fly that it's going to be good because it's not, it's not super hard, but it's not super easy. So this is going to be good. We're also connecting over to, if you want to follow this, follow Tim on YouTube, and you can see that video, Tim Camisa, and also jhflyco.com. Jackson, whole fly fishing company, they're supporting this as well with some fly boxes and flies as part of this challenge. All right, so that's what I got right now. We're gonna keep this Top Flight thing going because I think it's gonna be really fun to get some more people involved as we move forward. If you have any ideas for the Top Flight Challenge, you can also drop me a line here or on social media. I want to get out of here because we got one coming up next week. We're trying to ramp these up as always. We're trying to double down on some things, and we've got some good stuff coming the rest of this year as we're heading into September, October, and looking out, I hate to say it, but looking out at 2023. It's still off in the distance. We're not letting go of summer right now because we love summer. We're going to hold on to that thing. Hopefully it's an Indian summer. We're going to hold on to this summer until the very end, and we're going to just stretch this out with some good weather, some good fishing, some good camping, some good hiking, some good whatever you're doing, maybe some hunting. Give me a shout out. I'd love to hear if you're into something else besides fly fishing. We're at Wet Fly Swing on social media. You can do it right now. Okay, I'm out of here. Appreciate you for stopping in today. Appreciate your support. And I hope to maybe see you online, maybe on the water. And I hope you are having a great morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever in the world you are. And I hope to talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to the Wet Fly Swing Fly Fishing Show. For notes and links from this episode, visit wetflyswing.com.